answered are you're going to want to raise your hand. So go down to the very bottom and you can choose the opportunity where you can raise your hand, or you can go over to the side and raise your hand. We will go in order as we see them. Start with the questions so that way Roland can give you the best answer. If he needs to get more information from you, he can. But we want to make sure that we have everyone's questions answered as much as we can today. Now, here's the caveat. If it is a question about access or things inside of the portal or where to find things. And those are the best questions for Bailey because she is the keeper of all of that knowledge in Kajabi. So save those questions, ping her directly. She's here. Bailey knows everything of where everything's in Kajabi. She can send you a direct link and help you there immediately. So let's save those questions for her. But if you have any questions on deals or anything like that, those are for Roland. So let's see who's got their hand raised first. Oh, Roger. I love it. I love it. There you go. Got your hand raised. Well, let's kick things off. Good morning, Roland. How are you today? I think it's a Wednesday, so we're gonna get things going here. Hold on one second. I know that he's muted just a little bit. There you go.
Sorry. It was my computer decided to restart right before the call. You gotta love that. I am
Oh,
wonderful. How are you?
yeah. You know what? Yesterday I did that too, and then I got to the next one, and then Zoom decided it wanted to restart right
Yeah,
like
it's
two
like
minutes
must update.
beforehand.
No, no.
You're like, oh man. Oh, well, good. We're so glad you're here, Roland. We've already got hands raised. So
I see that.
if you are ready, we can kick off with the first question if you'd like.
Let's do it.
All right, Roger, you are up, my dear.
Bonjour,
Thank
Roger.
you.
Comment ça va?
Hello. Yeah. Good morning. So I have a mental block that I think you can help me with. It's related to purchase of businesses that require like a master license. I'm thinking like the expert, right? So there's the dentist, the master plumber, the master electrician, like those. So if you're buying the business, I'd like to hear your thoughts on how that plays out when there's, when that license is involved, when you start doing, doing aggregating businesses or doing roll-ups and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's really simple actually. Most of the states, which is where those issues lie, have laws about who can own or not own and who can operate or not operate and what the requirements of the operator are. Most of them, and an increasing number, even with law firms, are allowing what they call a RMO, responsible managing officer, or RME, responsible managing executive. And as long as that person holds the license, typically they don't even have to be the owner. It's just that the state wants to ensure that the person who is performing the services that require a license is a licensed person. So they used to say, and that person had to be an owner, but increasingly they're divorcing ownership from provision of service. So you just want to check the state laws in the place that you are operating. Be sure that you've got a technical person that is going to be occupying that supervisory role. Like in our real estate company, none of the owners have real estate licenses. In our HVAC company, none of the people have, contractors licenses. In our law firm in Arizona, none of the owners have law licenses. So that's kind of how that works. So you just want to check the state law and then be sure you've got a person that has the license that will occupy the role for you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Easy breezy.
Awesome. Thank you, Roger. All right, Akil, I think you are next, my dear.
Hey, Akil, how you doing?
Hey, good. Yourself?
I am fantastic, thank you.
Awesome. I'm looking to get some guidance on this would be my first acquisition, and there's someone I now trust, like I recently met, and we are already at point of no like trust, and he brought a um in Romania. That's the first point, maybe to orientate in Romania, a um meat producer, butcher, packager, distributor. It kind of sounds like a whole vertical is
Mhm.
in there, and it's a family business that the couple are fighting, so they want to save their marriage, so they want to get out of it.
Okay.
Um, and it's uh, as far as I recall, it's a 3 to 5, well, 3 to 4 million euro annual revenue. Um, Profit, whatever kind of profit, what the, gross, I need to
So
get more
what questions
context.
do you have specifically?
Is this something that I could get guidance on, like, or some partnership with one of you guys coaches or something like that to kind of acquire it together?
Yeah, so guidance for sure, and Bailey can kind of give you the, the how we best can help you there. And in terms of once we have all of the information about the deal, once you get that data gathering sheet filled out that I give you,
Uh-huh.
and have that information, then chat with us about it. And if it's something that seems like it's a fit, then happy to work with you.
Roger that. Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure.
Awesome. All right, Akil, I expect to see an email to Bailey. All right. Sheldon, you are up next.
Sheldon, how you doing this morning? I say this morning because it's morning for me, but how are you doing? That's what I should say.
It's great. Thank you. Appreciate it. I hope you're doing well.
Good.
So I'd had an Epic member that's going to be doing partly an investment for the money down for a loan. My question is in regards to, is there a contract in the portal? I just put something together through ChatGPT, which looked fine for myself with the investor, that we just need between ourselves. So that was the first question. If we had something, or you had any recommendations, or if that's just kind of you need a lawyer to put that together, or how that, or what we thought would be comfortable.
It's always good to have an attorney look at something like that, because the money is the risk that you've got, plus just did you make all the right disclosures, and do you have all the proper T's crossed and I's dotted. We don't have an agreement like that because it's so specific to a deal. Like it would just be the first words of a contract and then blank and then the boilerplate at the end, because the terms of the deal are so specific. So I can look and see if I've got anything that would be, potentially a template, but it's like, it's very specific to your deal. It's like, I'm going to do this, you're going to provide that, you're going to get this for that. But one thing that could be helpful that we would have would be Rajesh's investor contract, Bailey and Deanna. So why don't we be sure that we have that in there and just put the template in, and that way Rajesh is one of the funders that we refer Epic people to fund deals. And that would be a good one because it would be very lender favorable. So keep that in mind. But it would give you some idea of the things that, that are typically in something like that. Would that be helpful?
And
Yes,
Sheldon, you're working with Rajesh, right? Already? So
yeah,
you should.
It's actually, I was going to say he's the one doing the loan.
Yeah. So
that would,
what we could do, but what we should do, Bales and D, is we should put that contract not filled out in the portal so that people have it. And then maybe we could do a session with Grant and me running through it and talking about things that are in there that, could be of concern to you as a borrower. That might be an interesting session for us to run through, and a training to have for people that are doing funding with third parties.
Awesome. And as far as like for a default, the investor wanted to say, well, just in case, something went through and then the money on the back end wasn't there to pay the investor back right away. The thought was they were open to maybe like something connected with the business being purchased. And so I didn't know if your thoughts on this, but having some clause in there where it said maybe not so much equity, but I don't know if phantom equity would be the right position, but something in there where there's a clause stating you have potential ownership of their short-term ownership of the company until you get paid back. Just kind of a worst case scenario of if the money wasn't paid back instantly after the loan closed.
Yeah. So the way that you could do that is basically agree on a valuation going in, or a formula for valuation in the event of a situation like that. Define what the situation is. Like when the loan is due, if the business is unable to pay, then the business has an option to convert the debt into equity in the business at a valuation that's determined either by the following formula or at a valuation that is equal to the valuation of the business today. So that would be a way to do that. And then for you to potentially make that temporary would be to then also have a call that would allow you to buy them out, a call option that would allow you to buy them out at some increased price. It wouldn't really be fair just to buy it out for the, for the amount, because they would have additional risk and carrying cost and stuff, and then figure that out. Just, maybe and a call to buy it out at 120% of the equity value at the time of exercise for 3 years or something like that. That'd be a way to do that. Does that make sense? Hopefully I didn't say that too fast.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, Sheldon. All right, Valerie, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Val.
Hi, Roland. I'm looking for some clarity and guidance. So we have a deal that just came up in the last week with an old client of Aiden's, a skincare manufacturer here in San Marcos, which is exciting. She is eager to sell, but she has a class action lawsuit against her. So what I'm curious about, and one, I used your bot as much as I could to get some clarity around it, which is an awesome tool. But it gave me two options. So do we start off with a consulting for equity, but the business is currently under a class action lawsuit? Do we go in just as a consultant to support her, but she wants to exit? So
she'll definitely have a challenge exiting while the class action lawsuit is pending. That's going to be probably make it almost unexitable. I won't say that it won't be, because I've seen creative deals happen before. But your question is, should you do CFE or just a contract? Is that the question?
Or do we approach her with an asset sale to help her mitigate the class action lawsuit?
You have big issues there and potentially involve yourself in a fraudulent transfer that would create liability for you as a successor. So you definitely don't want to try to do that. But what you could do is just do it as a consulting deal with an option, if you want to. And then your option, obviously, you wouldn't exercise unless and until the class action had been resolved and settled. And that'd be how I would do it.
Okay.
Assuming that you want to do it. I would, unless you feel very, 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 very confident that they're going to come out of the class action, in a good way, I would probably just pause until that gets resolved.
She's pushing to settle, and ironically, she did a creative deal with a group of people who she was looking to sell to, have a successor, do an equity plan to, and those are the ones that are suing her. So
I mean, this might not be somebody you want to do a deal with, Val. It's like one of the first questions we always ask is like, so, how has it gone with your prior partners? Well, we're in lawsuits with all of them. That's a bit of a red flag for me. So
okay.
If you do decide that you want to do it, then I think your safest bet would be no mention of equity or anything like that. A straight consulting agreement, and then your second best option would be a consulting agreement with an option. But to me, those things are fairly radioactive until they get solved.
Okay. That's the clarity I needed. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to. You're welcome.
Awesome. I think Solomon, how are you?
Solomon, how are you this morning?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Hi, Roland. Thank you. I will have the opportunity to meet with a business owner who runs a large conglomerate of over 100 companies with massive revenue and professional management in place. What approach would you recommend for engaging someone at that level? I imagine a CFE offer may not be attractive to him given his scale and structure. Would proposing to acquire some of his smaller non-core companies, essentially helping him offload them, be a smart angle? Or is there another strategic entry point would you recommend in this kind of situation?
So ask me that as a specific question.
Yeah. What kind of approach would you recommend with this kind of people?
Okay, give me so I'm trying to help you because how we frame the issue is really important, right? So ask me the specific question with the facts and the thing that you want the answer to.
Yeah, he has 100 companies.
So you have a person that's got 100 companies.
Yeah, massive revenues.
Right.
professional management in place.
Yep.
CFE, I think it's not the best approach with him.
Okay.
So maybe approach him with, okay, I can help you with your smaller companies, maybe to offload them if in your book of business. Maybe it would be a good approach in this kind of people. He has like 30 minutes with me. They
Yeah.
don't
So,
have
so my
time.
conversation would be, how do I identify the things that are keeping him up at night now? I'd say, gosh, it's amazing what you've done. I love this massive business empire that you've created. What are the things that you find to be the most challenging about it right now? And then as he says those, well, I don't have time, blah, 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 blah. And say, okay, well, have you identified any particular one of the companies that you're working with that has a specific problem? Or is there kind of a problem that permeates all of the companies that you've got, or all of the ones that you're most concerned about? And then you can identify what is an issue that might be a thread that runs through the whole organization. And then specifically, let's pick one company and let me show you what I can do with that company. So of the 17 companies out of the 100 that you are having this issue with right now, which one do you feel is the most representative of this like thing that is kind of a challenge for you? Oh, well, it's the problem with cultural alignment between management of the companies and my holding company group. Okay, fantastic. Can you help me understand specifically what the issues are? Well, the such and such thinks this, and my guy thinks this, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. I'd love to come in and see if I could show you how that can be resolved. And then you would be able to templatize that and run it across the other companies so that this is no longer an issue for you. If I could do that for you, would that be something that you'd be interested in? That's probably how I would structure that conversation.
Yeah, starting with tell me about your biggest problems in maybe of the companies that they are.
Yeah, start generic. What's the thing that's
Generic,
a problem
yeah.
for you? Then get specific to what companies, how common a problem is this? Because usually what people say is, all my companies I've got this problem with. I'm like, all of them? All 100? Well, no, but a lot of them. Okay, what's a lot? 7. Okay, great. Now I've got that, right? That's the process of going through and having that conversation. And then let's pick the one that's most representative. Let's solve that problem. Let me show you I can do what I can do. And then after I do that, my evil plan is to razzle dazzle frazzle you by how well we resolve that issue for you there. And then I think that maybe we could have an opportunity to do it across the company and then, do some more business together. How does that sound? That, to me, those trial closes of how does that sound, it's not even an offer. Right? It's just, what if I could fix this for you? And it's also, how do you eat an elephant? You eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? You don't try to put the whole elephant in your mouth. You basically say, okay, there's a big giant part of this. Not that I'm advocating the eating of elephants or cruelty to elephants, okay? But if one were going to eat a giant chocolate elephant-sized elephant, then that's how one would go about it, right? So that's our approach.
Yeah, from general to specifics. Yeah.
How does that feel?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Yeah, let me know how that goes. I'm very curious.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And now we'll be getting all chocolate elephants sent to Roland's house. All right, Ira, I think you're next, dear.
Hey, Ira.
Hey, thanks for taking my question. So we are young in our professional journey. We started this business, and with my partner Taylor, we started this 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, going on our 3rd year.
Okay.
We 7x. We were on pace to 2x from last year, and then we implemented our scalable operating system this year.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you. And so with the expansion model, we're in a smaller market, 100 to 120,000 people. There is a plethora. We're in the window cleaning space, window pressure washing, home services.
Yep.
And the question to you is, if you were in our position, how would you position yourself in the market to be like the go-to company to sell your window cleaning business? Because we're thinking about, there's a lot of like owner operators here, and most businesses, I'm a follower of Cody Sanchez, most businesses don't list their list their businesses on any site.
Sure.
So you have to go out and find them. So I'm wondering what your strategy would be to position yourself to build goodwill with companies, be the go-to that when they want to move away, they can at least get something for what they built, so that we can continue to expand our business here. And eventually we're going to kind of think about if we're going to expand to another market, we would we'd either greenfield it or we would acquire in the next market. But kind of thoughts on like, would you send acquisition letters? Like, how would you position yourself?
I think it's multi-step. I think that there is no better outreach than phone direct calling. So I think that would be, that would be something that would be high on my list, but I don't think that's enough. And then you find people at different phases of their business. Some of them are unhappy with it right now, and nothing sounds better than the opportunity to not own it anymore. And so those should be high level prospects, and those are the ones that you typically are able to identify from the phone calls. Then after that, to me, and this is what we've done in the auto repair space, is we found that there, and we actually have just done it in the HVAC space too, is that a consulting for equity offer as opposed to an acquisition offer can be very helpful to them. And so the approach there is, hey, we're basically in the business of buying companies like this. We've identified yours as one that we would like to talk to have a conversation about the potential to acquire. Is that something you'd be interested in? No, I have no interest in selling. Go screw yourself. Okay, well, you don't have an interest in selling right now, but perhaps you would in the future. We've been in this business for 3 years and going strong. We'll be here for after that. So how about if we add you to our newsletter, where we talk about how to grow and sell and increase the value of businesses and like yours, and have good tips and tricks and things like that, and get them into a newsletter. The other thing that we can do is, if we can have a conversation, if it's not no screw you, right? If it's well, maybe, or I've never thought about it, it's like, well, let's have a conversation about it. And then you start talking to them, and they're not really ready to sell. Their business isn't sellable. It's not one that you want to buy yet, or or something along those lines. Then what we found is that either a consulting for equity offer, where you go in and say, well, one of the things that we do, because we operate in this space and we operate at scale, we're able to show businesses like you how you can become more valuable. And we believe that a rising tide lifts all ships. So we're happy to come in and do that. The way we do that is, and then you make your CFE pitch. And then if they say, oh my gosh, because ideally your CFE pitch is some sort of half day or short-term consult for some fee, which they may or may not be able to afford. If they can't afford it and aren't willing to invest in themselves, they're probably not a great prospect. Add them to the newsletter, keep them going. But if they have that conversation, and then you do that consult, and then you say, well, we'd love to work with you. And the way we do that on an ongoing basis is 10-10-10 or 20-20-20. And they're like, oh my God, I couldn't afford to pay $10,000 a month or 10% of profits. Then you can say, well, what you might want to do is become part of our business development program, where we help you get to that space. Because nothing would make us happier in our own self-interest than to help you get to the place where you can afford to participate and take advantage of this program, because that's how you're actually going to get out of this business. Otherwise, you, like 600,000 other people like you every year, are just going to close this down, and you're going to have no money, nothing to show for it, no legacy. Your family's not going to get anything, and you're just going to have to kind of start over and figure out how are you going to make ends meet. We are going to give you a legacy plan to show you how to create value and exit the business. And the way we do that is we have this coaching program. And that's what we did in the automotive space. Was the coaching program is basically training you. I think it's called it's basically a play on Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week, but it's like the 5-hour operator or something like that, 5-hour auto shop. It's like, how do we what's the biggest thing that they want? Most of them in that business want to stop working on cars and showing up to that business 70 hours a week and not have to do that. So when we show them how to do that, even if you're showing them how to implement scalable operating system in their business and get a business scorecard, right? So that they can see what's going on and where they can improve things, and it's verticalized to window cleaning, then that to me would be something that would be very valuable. And that could be a very low investment for them. And then you're getting paid by your leads to nurture them and get them to the point where they can afford to do the next step with you. That's kind of how I would probably go about it. The other thing that we do in the HVAC space is it's not a coaching thing, but it's actually a fractional operator. So you could basically say, we've got a team that does this. The thing that we've identified in talking with you that's your biggest challenge is you don't have a person that's got the finances in order, or you don't have a person that can organize routes and calls, and you don't have a person that can buy media. We can give you a fractional person that will solve that problem for you that you've got right now. And that's what this looks like. And that could be as simple as you taking somebody who's got capacity in your existing business, or you can go to a company like Sphere Rocket that has outsourced VAs, and you could basically pay $600 a month to have a VA that helps them, and you're charging them $1,200 for. And then again, you're being paid for your prospecting. Does that make sense?
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Like, that is very helpful. And
yeah, I've got a for that, Roland. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we sent out a bunch of acquisition letters when we had first started, essentially letting people know, hey, we're new, up and coming. With our SEO, Google reviews, online presence, we scaled really quickly in that. So the other Go cleaners knew who we were. And we had sparked up a conversation with the number 2 guy in the area. And as we started to meet with him and get into the books and, start to underwrite his business, we realized that, and this has been a common thread with following conversations, is where I realized it, is that and you probably know it too, they think their business is worth its weight in gold, when the reality is if he didn't show up for a month, the whole thing would collapse.
Yeah.
On top of some of the leadership issues and things like that I was identifying. And we weren't able to work out a deal, which is okay. And I think part of it is his ego is just getting in the way. So it just needs more time until there's enough pain for him to be like, okay, I do have a problem. And so I'm curious, just with the small blue collar type of worker, in all the conversations I've had, they can't get out of their own way. They do everything. And so what are just some tactics or quick word judo that you use to help them, leave a rock in their shoe when I leave the conversation of, what, maybe those guys can help me because they operate, this way or that way. And yeah, if I do leave or retire today, I'm not going to get anything for my business. You can't be super blunt with it. And you answered a guy's question earlier. We're like, what are some of the biggest problems you have, and kind of building that gap in these, very early on prospecting type conversations. I'm just curious how you frame a couple of those things to where, maybe we don't do it today, but in 6 months or 2 years, that opportunity is there.
Yeah, it is a way of selling, and my sales, like the guys that are on our sales floor in our, some of our businesses would tell you this is terrible strategy. But it depends on your approach, right? So people frequently need a push to do something, but the push can very often just be following up and reminding them that they have the problem, not reminding them going, ha, you're still not doing what you want, are you? Right? But you can poke at them in a fun sort of way, kind of how's that going for you? So I do think that it's always important to identify what is their specific challenge. You have great insight because you have talked to lots of lots of owners and operators of those businesses, and you're doing it yourself. So you have an idea what the biggest problems are and challenges for you and the biggest pain points. I think that I would ask first. So if I'm having a conversation, I'd be like, hey, Taylor, it's great talking to you. How are things going in the business so far? And then you're going to either tell me everything is great, or you're going to tell me, gosh, everything is generally good, but I'm having a problem finding people to actually go out and wash the windows, and I find myself, doing it myself, and I really, really freaking hate that, then you have an idea there. That's a recruiting issue, right? So you can say, oh God, man, if I had to wash one more window, I think that I would, just want to jump through it. So what we did, because I was definitely you about a year ago, and what we found was that having a recruiter that was constantly looking for people for us to do those jobs totally solve the problem. And we've got this whole outreach program to identify people that are going to do that and a way to incentivize them and keep them on. And I'd be happy to share that with you if that'd be something that you would be interested in. And that's one of the things. And you could even, you've told them now what, but not how. And one of the magic things in closing sales, I think, is to offer the solution and tell them what it is, but then the steps of how they're going to get there are kind of opaque to them, or you offer the first step. So what I would do if I were you is run an ad for a recruiter, but you may be saying, Taylor, I can't afford to run that, and I don't even know what ads I would run and where to run them, and then I'm going to have to talk to people, which is like my nightmare. And then you can say, well, listen, if you'd like, we've got a recruiter and we solved that problem before. What if we could do that for you?
Yep.
Well, now you've got a bridge that you've built, and it's not the bridge to acquiring the business, but it is the beginning of know, like, trust, and it's the beginning of converting them from a prospect to a customer. And once you've converted from prospect to customer, our research says they're 11 times more likely to go to the next step than just trying to sell cold. So now, like, if you have that conversation and they're like, yeah, God, that would be really great, I'm just not ready to do it right now. And so then what I would do is periodically reach out to them. I'd say, no worries. Whatever you're comfortable with is cool with me. But if it's a problem that you've had for, how long now? 3 years. Okay, if that's a problem and you find yourself washing windows 3 years from now, how is that going to feel? It's going to feel pretty freaking bad. Thanks for asking. Okay, well, then you might want to ask yourself if you are actually committed to solving the problem or not. Is that something that you're committed to solving? Because we do have a solution. Even if you want to say, I'm not ready for it, some plan of how you're going to change and do things differently to move you from unhappy to happy is really what I'm here to collaborate with you to help make happen. So if that's something that I can help with, no, I'm just not ready to go now. Okay, no worries. Well, then I'm going to reach out to that person. You've left an open loop in their mind, which is key of, daggone it, there's this solution that's out there and I'm unhappy. And I'm my biggest block from getting from unhappy to happy because the solution has been given there. And I would be reminding them about that. And you might even tag them. Like maybe you identify the 5 biggest issues are accounting and billing, collections, recruiting, never getting a vacation, and one other thing, right? Well, now those are my 5 tags that every conversation I'm going to tag those people with that. And now the content train that they're going to get on is going to be agitating the pain by talking about how we solved it. So when I would send them an email, let's say, or I'd follow up with a phone call, I'd be like, hey, I just wanted to touch base. I was working with our recruiter the other day. We just hired 7 new people that are washing windows for us now. And I was thinking about how happy I am because I was out on the lake and on my sailboat with my family this weekend. And a year ago, I would have been washing windows. And it made me think of you and our conversation that we had. Did you get to solve that problem yet? So now you're agitating, painting future pacing with you of how they would be, helping them future pace themselves to the happy place they'd like to get. And you're talking about the solution that all they have to do to get is take the next step with you. Yep. I think that's a really effective way to, how does that feel?
Yeah, that all makes perfect sense. And it's affirming to hear. We're going to start coming to these calls more often. It's affirming to hear that because before we even started, there was one gentleman in particular who we do window cleaning in Montana. We don't have a lot of humidity, so the opportunity in pressure washing isn't as good as in like the southern states. But this dude's doing pretty well for himself. And I told him before we even started Fresh Perspective, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And now we're 7 times bigger than he is. We're not on the vehicle. And I saw him post on social media the other day. It was a funny meme of like a person all crazy. And it was like when you're doing the billing and taking calls and in the da-da-da-da-da. And I could sense pain there. And there's him and one other gentleman who's a window cleaner. And both of them I reach out to about monthly. We're friends. We send work each other's way when it happens. And every 2 or 3 phone calls, I'll mention they're working together. So when answering Ira's question, you said the consulting for equity. That really spoke to me on something I can, maybe frame, especially for this Tyler guy who's a little bit stuck in some things, and I think I could turn some dials to fix those fairly quickly.
Yep.
And then, yeah, just on the prospecting thing too, answering Ira's question, there's another guy an old team member of ours who's, because we're so new, we have a reverse talent problem in the sense of our guys are too talented to where if we don't grow quickly, they'll leave because we just can't pay them enough.
Yeah.
And another guy needed to make closer, like a little over $50 an hour. And, right now we're at about $30 an hour, and we can get guys from, at that point in like 30 days, which is great money to go from that to 30 days later, $30 an hour. So he moved and started selling cars, and there was one of our competitors who's he has like 2 or 3 guys with him that help in the field. And Max, our old team member who's now selling cars, walked up to him, started chit-chatting. Hey, I used to work for Fresh Perspective. He's like, oh yeah, screw those guys, in a friendly, competitive way. And which is cool to hear now that we're the big dogs, because I don't feel that we've even really started yet.
Yeah.
And knows exactly what we want to do through acquisitions, because he's like, as you guys scale, like I want to come back, but right now he just needs to make a little more money. So he planted a few seeds and identified that he's looking to move in the next 3 or 4 years, and he always gets stuck in the truck. He can't train his talent, all of those types of things. So reaching out, I think, is going to be valuable just to introduce ourselves and plant that seed. So yeah, I really like talking about the future pacing, figuring out what's their current situation, what's the solution they're looking for, and then figuring out how we can maybe be an asset for them and their goals.
So a couple other strategies to think about too, that are a little bit different. One of the guys that was in window replacement that I worked with, and he built his business and sold it, wrote out his non-compete, and then started again, and has now got another multi-million-dollar business that he's about to sell. And that was, he expanded the business significantly by going from just replacement to maintenance and cleaning and roofs and siding and all of the other things. So one thing for you guys to think about, I think, would be Montana. So we don't have the opportunity to clean as frequently because of the lack of the humidity, but heat leakage is a huge issue. And the cost of heating a home versus, that has windows that are properly installed and that are properly insulated and energy efficient, compared to those that aren't, right? That would be something I would be thinking about. What are my add-on sales that I could make? I don't know if you guys have moved to a subscription model, but if you haven't, I would definitely think about that. And then the other thing would be, so I watched a guy that was a private client of mine go from repairing garage doors to selling his company for $1.1 billion. And he did it by initially basically fixing garage doors. Then he automated everything and basically had an iPad that was an assessment. So every time they came out to fix the garage door, he would basically go through and his people would go through that assessment. He upgraded because most of the people don't present well, so that anybody that was working for him had 2 sets of overalls in their truck. And when they got all dirty repairing one garage, they would take those off and put the next ones on, so they presented well. The trucks were wrapped, properly, so the branding was good. So there are opportunities for you to help these guys with their branding and with their presentation and with their retention, with converting their existing subscribers to, their existing customers, and their reactivation campaigns. Like, those are all things that you could do for a piece of the sales, if you wanted to, that would get you in solving problems that your guys have. Even like, so I'd first want to sell them on coaching so you get paid up front. But if you want to do biz dev, then do that on a performance basis and tell them, say, it's going to cost you more to do this, but we'll put our money where our mouth is every time, because we know we're going to make a lot more money doing it this way than you paying us a coaching fee. And it's good for you because you don't have to come out of pocket, since you said you don't have the money. So you have nothing to lose. Like, that's an embarrassing thing for them to not do at that point, right? So that as an entry point for you to be able to work with them that way. Then you could also say, we have 46 other optimization points that we do, And that's part of either A, our coaching program, or B, our mastermind, where we have people that get together that are all doing this, sharing what's winning. How did we get 47 strategies? We got them because we deal with 42 different people and each of them brought a great strategy and now we've aggregated them. Wouldn't you love to be part of that? By the way, none of those people are cleaning windows themselves, right? So those are, think about all the other ways that you can optimize. And then going back to my guy that I was talking about with garage doors, create a licensing program. Just say, we'll license you the brand and all of the other things. You remain independent, if you want, or we'll just actually license you the brand. And we'd want to structure that so it wasn't a franchise initially, but you would ultimately potentially move to a franchise. And now you've got conversions of all these people that are already out there with those businesses into your business, which is a kind of a backdoor roll-up strategy that you can do. So, I think you got, if you have a system that works in a niche like you've got, and you've got people that clearly have problems, those chuck in a truck, one person operation problems, they're never going to break out of that grind. And you've got the golden ticket for them, and you show them 5 different ways to get there: CFE, sell me your company, licensing deal, franchise, coaching, performance-based, one-offs to start with. You've got all these ways to approach. You will win all of those deals because nobody else is thinking like that.
Yep. So I can ask so many questions, so shut me up if other people have
well, I don't see any hands up, and we got 14 minutes, so we're good.
So my follow-up there would be, and this could be a question wrapped in a limiting belief. If that's the case, shut that down too. So another problem that we've had is we've been cash strapped, in the sense of we're profitable just over 20%. However, we run Ryan's cash flow waterfall.
Yep.
And by the end of the year, we'll have our operating expenses is around $30,000 a month. So we'll have our operating account there, and then 90,000 sitting in our emergency fund account.
Yep.
So when we start doing these consulting for equity or these other types of roll-up things, part of me is wondering, I have a friend who has a window cleaning company, does around $2 million a year in Salt Lake City. And when they were at 1.4 million, they started a carpet cleaning company. And in the first year, they did $400,000 just going after their previous database. And it was 2 different brands. It was Mint and Citrus.
Okay.
And he realized after 18 months, he just let the partner with Citrus run, because he said it was, for him, it was easier to scale just the one thing rather than trying to do 2. And with the story you shared about your window guy, is okay, he was doing replacement and then he got into cleaning. Those kind of are different verticals, but they're all in home services. So as young men with families, we're both 29. How do we not get scattered with trying to do too many things, and really just becoming viable in fresh perspective with 6 months of OpEx, our OS in place, all of that before we really scale with these other things? I know patience is part of that.
No. So let me get you to put your thinking cap on, right? So how would your question is basically, how would I eat my cake and still have it, right? So how would you take advantage of those opportunities without creating additional work for yourself in executing on those things?
Growing other people.
That would be one way, but you would still be responsible for growing those people. What would be a virtually seamless way for you to profit from that instantly, have everything in place that you needed, know that you were giving A+ service, and still get the money?
Allowing them access to our engines and playbooks and scorecards.
Well, that would be not really going to a different business, though, because we're talking about now, let's say that you are going to add carpet cleaning, right? So you've got a use case where somebody actually did that and it added a lot of profit. How would you add a carpet cleaning business to your business without it taking any of your time or costing you any money and actually paying you money?
Would that be the consult for equity?
It could be, but consulting for equity implies you're doing consulting.
Yes.
What I'm after is, why not affiliate to start? Why not find a partner that does carpet cleaning and have them become a referral partner for your window cleaning business in exchange for you referring them carpet cleaning. They've already got A+ reviews, which you can verify from third-party sites. They're going to pay you a finder's fee for every carpet cleaning job that they get. It allows you to prove out the model that in fact one can sell carpet cleaning on the back of window cleaning. And then you can see how your customers react. You'll have all the data, and then maybe you decide to buy them. And now you're in that business without having any time or effort on your part. Or maybe you find that that's not the most profitable thing, and then you start trying window replacement people and roof gutter cleaning. And, what are the other things that somebody that's thinking about getting their windows cleaned, what are they doing? Well, they might be cleaning the windows because they're starting to show the house because they're thinking about listing it with a real estate agent. And so you partner with the real estate. Like, to me, that's the exciting thing is BDA, right? What's the before, during, and after purchases of products and services that the people who buy your thing, your service for window cleaning are doing? And how can you be in all those businesses without being in them? Easy. Just partner initially. But now all that's doing is getting you more referrals from all of those people, because now they're sending you're their window cleaning people that they weren't ever going to think about you before. And now you get to free test what are the most profitable things for us to refer out. And that's the first business that I would buy if I then decided to expand. And if I did decide to expand, thinking, we're not just a window cleaning company, we're a personal services company or a home services company, then that allows you to expand your horizons to say, we want to be bigger and do these things, but we don't want to do them. So we're going to roll in to our home services roll up these other complementary companies. And by the way, Prospect, who has the carpet cleaning company that I'm talking to, trying to get to roll in, we've already sent you this business. I know that you would, I know you're probably concerned about, are we going to continue to do this? Because it's been a lot of business lately. And they're like, well, I wasn't concerned, but now I am. And you're like, well, here's how we can deal with that. We generally work with somebody like you for a little bit, send them business, prove that we can do what we say we can do, let you prove to us that you can do what you say you can do and keep customers happy. That's all happened. The next step for us is either let's acquire and work together towards this bigger goal we've got. Here's our roll-up vision. Or if that's not a fit for you, we understand we'll probably be looking for another partner. Right? So that's how you can kind of get into those businesses and still have the family, connection and happiness. Does that make sense?
Yep, that's gold. Thank you so much, Roland.
You're very welcome.
All right, that was outstanding. I love today's questions. Good deal, everyone. I really, really appreciate the wonderful questions. And if you had anything that you needed from Bailey, make sure you ping her and she'll make sure that you have everything. And we will get those calls scheduled rolling with you and Grant. So that's fantastic.
Awesome. Sounds good. I think
All right,
is that it for today. Anything you want to leave everybody with?
No, except for, guys, we're sending out the information on the September event. You got to register if you're going to be there. So please let Bailey know if you plan on coming to our live event in September. With that being said, go make deals.